agenda for the week. Keep track of it daily. Anybody? If you're that person, I'm slightly updating it today. All right. We didn't quite get through. I updated it a little bit yesterday. We're going to get through 10-7, day 2 today. I have review activity, but I want to make sure it's not really an activity that you could just partially do. So we may be swapping the quiz review, start that today, and do part of the activity tomorrow. Okay. So these 2 days are kind of interchangeable. We do have a quiz on Friday. So the last new content is just these last few slides, but I want to make sure I answer questions from the homework. Are there any you'd like to see worked out? Paige? Did you say 12?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what you guys should be doing. And by the way, I need you to listen. A lot of people weren't quite writing the answer correctly. So let's fix that up today. You guys should be correcting things. You know, when the answers are up, most of you did a good job correcting it. Some of you just kind of sat there and let your wrong answers stay. All right. Let's not get in that habit. Now, if you got number 12 wrong, let's fix it. Write the standard equation of a circle. Okay, so as soon as I read that, I'm writing x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. What gets filled in? H, k, and r. And that will be what's called standard form if you have numbers in there. So Paige, did you...
So, I was able to find the center point, but I just had no idea how to find the radius.
Okay. How did you find the center?
So, what I did was I just, counted in my head, -3 and 5, then -2, 4. We would just count until I found a point.
Okay. Let's check that. I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off. Did you want to... Let me let you finish. Go ahead. You counted in your head,
so,
and then...
-2, 4... -1, 3, until I got to a point they met at. I got 1 and -1 and -1.
1, -1 for your center. Okay, so we're going to keep that in our mind. HK, you're thinking 1, -1. Now, I'm a visual person, and so I like to kind of, even if I'm not going to graph it, I want to think -1, 2, 3, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 1 point on the diameter. Okay, that doesn't mean it's the center. It's not the center, actually. We know that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another point on the diameter. So can you guys kind of see, eyes up here, can you kind of see the center is going to be in here somewhere? If that's a diameter, isn't the center going to be halfway across? I think if you kind of sketch that out visually, you're going to start to say, oh, I kind of know what I should do now. So for those who missed it, what should we be doing right now? Well, I kind of sketched it for you, but what are we going to calculate? The midpoint of that segment. You see it? Because the midpoint of the diameter is the center. And so Paige she kind of did that in her head. She kind of, when you add two numbers together, add the x's together and divide by 2, -3 plus 5 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. And then -6 plus 4 divided by 2 is -2 divided by 2 is -1. So this point 1, -1, I am comfortable calling the center. So Paige, you kind of did that in your head, kind of analytically, right? If you want to show the work for a problem like that, you'd use the midpoint formula. Okay, I'm okay with you doing it the way you did it. That was good insight. All right, now how do we find the radius? You can't just count for the radius.
You have to find the diameter and then divide it by 2.
Good. So the length of the diameter. How do we find length?
Distance
Formula, and then cut that in half to get the radius. Okay. And what was What'd you guys get for the diameter on this one? Do I need to do it? 41? Do we need to do that? Do we need to do the distance formula on that? Do I see it? I'm not going to waste your time. If you don't need to see it, it's fine. Does anybody need to see it? Yes. Okay. So distance formula, square root. Now we're doing these 2 points. So 5 minus negative 3, come on, squared plus 4 minus negative 6 squared. All right, we're going to do this quickly. 5 minus a negative 3 is 8 squared is 64. 4 minus a negative 6 is 10 squared is 100. So I'm getting the square root of 164, square root of 164 for my diameter. Don't say half of that is the square root of 82. You can't cut the inside number in half. You guys understand that? Okay. So what would you could do this though. You could break it up. 164 is 2 times 82. 82 is 2 times 41. Does 41 have any factors? No. 2 radical 41 is the diameter. What's half of 2 radical 41? What's half of 2 radical 41? 1 radical 41. So the radius is half of that diameter. It's just radical 41. But wait a minute. What are we putting over here? R squared. What's radical 41 squared? And now we have the center is, so we have x minus 1 squared plus y minus a negative 1, so y plus 1 squared equals 41. That top answer was in green up there. Does that make sense? Any others you'd like to see? Okay?
Well, it's more like just a question. Like, is the thing on Friday, is that a quiz or a test?
It's a quiz. 3 sections. All right. Our guided notes are out. This is where we left off, I believe. Let me double check. All right. This first slide, I hope is pretty easy. I actually talked it through with you guys, I think, yesterday, talking about opposites. So if you're given this, if you're given a circle in standard form, you have to work backwards if you're going to graph it. You have to say, I'm going to graph my center, and then I'm going to use the radius to graph. So if we have x minus 3 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 4, what's the h value of my center? Anyone? Positive 3 or negative 3? Positive 3. What's the value of k? Negative 2. And the radius is? Careful. That's r squared. 2. You have to take the square root of that number. You have to take the square root of that number to get r. You now have all the pieces of information you need to graph it. Okay? So the center is 3, negative 2, and the radius is 2. It's this easy. Ready? 3, negative 2. That's the center. And then I'm going to go right 2, up 2, left 2, down 2. Those are the easiest ways to use your radius. I know the radius can go diagonally too, but I don't know how to count diagonally 2 units. It's just not pretty. So if you do those 4 points, that should be enough for you to draw an ugly circle. It's hard, I'll be honest. It's going to be ugly. Ugh, see, it kind of lost it there at the end. Do your best. If you want to use a little compass, you can be that nerdy person. Ooh, this could be the moment we've been waiting for to use these compasses. I was like,
How do you do it?
Put the sharp end, and then you close it to that. All right, next one. All right, Caden, help me out with what's the x value of the center in this one?
Negative.
Careful.
Oh,
3. Levi, what's the y value of the radius on this one? Negative 4. Good. Tyler, what's the radius of this circle? 3. Very good. So we're going to graph the point 1, 2, 3, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. And then go right 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, 3, left 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3. Sounds like a dance class. Ooh, look at that one. I have to take a picture of that. That's my best circle in a while. It's going to be well-rounded, Jackson. Okay.
Oh yeah. Just like me.
It's not variable.
Pretty easy. Pretty easy. Just don't forget the center is the opposite signs you're looking at. Why? Because the formula is x minus and y minus. It makes things opposite. All right, next one. This is the one I want. This is the type of question I want to spend the majority of our time on. Okay, if you've been zoning out a little bit, now's the time to make sure you're focused. All right, it's called completing the square. You learned this last year. Don't even tell me you didn't. I went to your algebra teachers yesterday and they said yes. And they have video recording evidence of it as well. All right. Hey guys, let's focus. This is not terrible, but if you forget factoring, it might be a little tricky. So I'm going to teach you again. Here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get it in the form of this. We're trying to get it in that form. I think we can all agree that's not even close to being in that form. Do you agree? But good news. Remember our bell work yesterday? Remember when we had x squared, like minus 4x plus 4, and we factored it into a nice 2 binomials, and we wrote it like x minus 2 squared. Remember that? X minus 2 squared. That's good news. If we can get it like this, x minus something squared, we're going to be set up to graph it. Okay? So this process is called completing the square, and it's actually us controlling the process to make it into something we want. Sounds weird, but we're going to start putting numbers on one side of the equation to make them nice, factorable numbers. But if we put it on one side of the equation, we have to put it on the other side of the equation. That's the whole process, okay? I'm a very big believer on organizing by color. So if you have different colors and you want to do the same today, we're going to do the x's in one color, we're going to do the y's in another color, and you're going to see them put on both sides of the equation. So here we go. Here's what we want. We're going to put the x's together. We're going to have x squared minus 12x right here. And then we're going to have y squared. And I don't see any other y terms here. And we have equals 0. Now, if I have not done, I actually did do something to this. The first thing we're going to do, I put equals 0. Can you guys hang with me here for a second? If you want to write plus 27 here, you can. I was going to do that at first, but I think you guys are good. Let's go ahead and subtract 27 to the other side. Okay, first. So we're going to have equals negative 27. Now, how do I know to do that? Well, do you agree when we go to factor this thing, the number, the radius being squared is going to be on this side. So our numbers are going to eventually need to be put over here, other than the ones that we make up to factor nicely. So right now, I have my x terms in green. I have my y term in blue. And right now, it's a positive y squared. So I'm going to put a placeholder of a plus there for now. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to add a number here onto the x terms that make the green quadratic factor nicely. So there's some magical number that goes in that green space. Whatever number I put in that green space on the left side, I have to put on the right side. These are my placeholders. Now, some of you may already know what goes there to make a factor into a nice, same factor, multiplied times itself. If we don't, there's a way to figure that out. Do you remember how this was called ax squared plus bx plus c? Remember quadratic, that's the standard form. Did your teacher say, oh, a is 1, b is negative 12? Did they do that? I'm not asking you guys. You'll say, no, they never told us that. Don't remember. Okay. How about I teach this as if you've never heard of this? All right. A is 1. B is negative 12. C, we're going to find out. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. To get this magical number, it's not really magical, I'm just saying that to make it exciting. You take b over 2 and then square it. B divided by 2 and then square it. Okay? What's negative 12 divided by 2?
6.
Negative 6. And then when I square it, I get positive 36. Do you agree? That is your magic number that goes here. And if I put it on the left side, I have to put it on the right side. Do you agree? I just balanced the equation. That equal sign is in black. Whatever I put on the left side of it, I have to put on the right side of it. Everybody good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is my magic number formula. You don't have to show that work if you don't want to. That's just for people who forget this process and need to see it worked out. Okay? What did we just make in green? By putting a 36 there, we just made that factor perfectly into x minus, give me the number, 6 and x minus 6. Do you agree this factors into x minus 6 times x minus 6? Or x minus 6 squared. If you like that magic number process, let me give you one more pointer, okay? The number that goes in these parentheses came from the step before you squared it. What number was it before we squared it? Not positive 6. It was negative 6, right? So minus 6 is our number that goes in the parentheses. Are you with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to do that to the blue y terms? No, there is no other y term other than y squared. So here's what happens. This is a special case. We have x minus 6 squared plus y squared equals, and what is 36 minus 27? 9. Does that look like it's in standard form? Is that the standard form for a circle? X minus something squared plus y minus something squared equals r squared. Yeah, it's just the y minus, that something in the y parentheses must have been 0. So, I think we're ready. What's the center? What's the center of our circle? 6, 0. And what's the radius? 3. That's called completing the square. And now, we didn't have to do anything with the blue y terms in that one. The next problem I show you, we're going to do something with the green and with the blue, okay? But I have good news. It's the same as what we did with the green, just in blue and with y's in it instead of x's. Let's do it. Next one. X squared, put all the x's together, minus 14x plus blank plus y squared plus 2y plus blank equals negative 41. We're going to move that lonely number to the other side all by itself, which I can relate to. Story of my life on a Friday night. I'm sorry, it's getting too personal. All right. Find that magic green number on your own. When I say magic number, it's before you square it. All right, what did you get for the magic green number? McKenna.
49.
That's going to go here, but before you squared it, what did you get?
7.
Negative 7. But what goes in our blank? 49. And if I put a 49 there, I'm going to run it in my graph here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to put a 49 on the right side. And now, McKenna, the reason I said what's the magic number is because that's actually what we care about the 49 too, but we want to know what the factor is. So it was x, what? Minus 7 squared is what that factors into. Tally.
So you did negative 14 divided by 2 and then squared it?
Correct. And this part goes in the parentheses, and then after you square it, goes in the blanks. It's kind of tricky. We're making up numbers. Like, we're literally making up numbers that make this factor nicely. That's what we're doing. But if we make it on one side, we have to add it to the other. All right, time for the blue. Ready? 2 divided by 2, and then we're going to square it. 2 divided by 2? 1. So it ends up being y plus 1 squared. And what goes in our line? 1 squared, which is also 1. So if we add 1 to the left side, we have to add 1 to the right side. Sometimes I'll put the green and the blue blank there. Actually, I didn't put that in this problem to start with. I added them later. That's probably a good habit for you, is when you put the green and the blue blanks on the left side, you probably want to put them on the right side to remind yourself to add those over there as well. Is everybody with me so far? Mm-hmm. Now we just combine like terms on the right side. What's 49 minus 41 plus 1?
8.
It's 9, right? 9. Oh, that's a pretty equation. That's like the standard form of the circle. With the center of... What's my center? 7, negative 1. And the radius of 3. And they asked us to graph it. Here we go. 7, negative 1 is right there. That's my center. And I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3. Up 1, 2, 3. Left 1, 2, 3. Down 1, 2, 3. Tally.
How did you get 9?
Negative 41 plus 49 plus 1.
I didn't see the negative.
And what's going to be funny is when students go to graph these on a quiz, I'm warning you now, I might laugh at you in a nice way. You'll get like the radius squared, like sometimes you'll have like 64 over there. And Mr. Westfall, how do I graph this? It goes way off the page. And I'll be like, remember that talk we had? It's not 64. The radius would be 8 if you have 64 over there. Big difference. Count 8, up, down, left, right. That's the process. That's it. McKenna.
I'm still confused about how you got +1 for like the last step, right?
I took the center term, I divided by 2, and I squared it. Sure. Yeah. Questions on that one? Okay. Let's do another. I think you guys should try this one on your own.
Thanks.
It's healthy.
You gotta be real shy. I'm not. It's really hard. So you kind of want to take this and have a little angle on it, and that's just drag it. So put it here. Yeah, you kind of lost your point. Don't like stab it through. I know it's kind of tough. I kind of lost my. Hey. Where'd you get it to? Positive. Then the image said you put negative to. Why would you hate that one?
I think magic numbers makes it sound a lot more exciting, doesn't it?
What? That's not x plus 2 squared. It's x plus 2 squared.
So we got this next, right? Okay, I'm just gonna subtract
Okay.
this is your
What?
circle, and then
So y minus.
It's negative 4.
it's always the opposite.
Like this is next.
Just go
That's a thing.
It's not very minus.
No, because this one is supposed to.
All right. Have we had a chance to try it?
I did it. Minus and negative is just.
All right, here we go. The green magic number is -4 divided by 2, and then we have to square it. That's the number that's going to go in the blank. What number goes in the blank? -2 squared. What goes here? 4. And if I put a 4 there, I have to put a 4 here. Quick little note. You're going to find this out on your own, but look over here. Look up here real quick. Before I even started the problem, I put a plus green blank, plus blue blank. Why was I confident enough to know they were both going to be plus there? Yeah, after you square that number, it's going to be positive. I know that it's going to be a plus over there, right? You with me? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and factor this, x, and then my magic number in here, this magic number, tells me what goes in the parentheses. It's going to be x minus 2 squared. Now, here's a quick way to check that. I don't think you'd have to do this very often, But do you agree you could FOIL out x minus 2 and x minus 2 to get this trinomial up here?
Yeah.
X minus 2 times x minus 2. That's a quick little way to check it. Plus, okay, we have magic number 8 divided by 2 squared. So we have y squared plus, oops. All right, 8 divided by 2?
4.
Squared.
16.
So what goes on the blank?
16.
16 and 16. But I'm going to go ahead and factor it. It's going to be y,
Minus 4.
careful,
Plus 4.
plus 4 squared equals 5 plus 4 plus 16. 25. So my center is 2, -4, and my radius is 5. Is everybody getting that? Check your signs. Check your signs. That's the most common error. Okay? So we have 2, bless you, 2, -4 is my center. I go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And good luck keeping this round. Ooh, it's close. Question on that. Be honest, how are we doing? I am fully a proponent of you, if you want to organize by color like I did, it might help you. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. Mackenzie.
I have a question for like the final equation. So
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like the x,
Yeah.
if the like number formula is -4 divided by 2, wouldn't that be -2?
It is.
So would it be like x minus -2?
No. So this is a great question. I came up with someone else too. Everybody listen. That magic number gives you this term with the sign. You don't need to make it opposite. It's not like we're putting in the -2 into the x minus h formula. It gives us, like if I put x, it gives me the sign and the h.
Okay.
That does not mean, listen carefully, h is not -2. H is not -2. H is +2. H, K. The magic number gives you the sign and the number. The magic number gives me the sign and the number, but the H and the K are actually opposites of those.
Okay.
But the way I teach it, if you get the magic number, it gives you the sign, positive, negative, and the number. And all you have to do is plug it in. Thank you for asking that. I think others had the same question. Any other questions? I think maybe you should just practice this.
I agree. Not with a lot of homework though.
We're going to do the same page, page 559.
Yeah, but it's like that. Let me see it. Okay. It's like falling apart. There's no pencil on it. The point's gone. I don't know if the point went like that, like it's stuck to the paper. It's just, I can find it. Hold on. It's like in between. Okay.
It makes sense.
There's supposed to be like there's supposed to be like things sticking out of it.
It is weird.
All right, before you guys complain about how much there is there, the quiz review, a lot of those 1 through 10 are like, it's an inscribed angle, double the angle to get the arc. That kind of stuff, all right? And setting up simple equations. So I'm okay with, it's about half the review. That way in class tomorrow we have some time to work on it and we have some time to go over it, all right? If you want to do more, listen, here's an option. If you want to do all of the quiz review, and that way you can ask me questions the first half of class while other people are working on it, that's fine. That's an option for you.
Thanks, so quick.
Not yours.
Not mine.
Is this something about this angle? It's like really far down.
I would assume
Well, yeah, like, but obviously, like that.
knee one down. Push it in. So it does the thing.
Well, I know that's not
You take
Oh,
your
okay.
part and then turn it slowly.
Amazing marbles.
Slowly and gently. Oh.
Oh, guys. Oh, you can put it out?
You can't use it right. It's because you have to hold. This has to be out. Because